Hi, Dad. Clean it. How are you? How's your day been? Mine has been great. It's just I've been sitting here talking to my niece, and I hadn't seen her in a few days, so I almost was late. And she said, "Can you got 5 minutes?" And I said, "Oh, you're right, I do." I had a couple of announcements, but before I go there, I'm gonna say hi to everybody that's here, and then I'll give you a couple of announcements. So first we got Lee. He takes the trash and the samples out to set a variety of finger foods and snacks, soft drinks, and various waters on the table. Put some Oreo cookies and milk with light dark and milk chocolate fountains, pretzels, marshmallows, and fruit. Welcome to Don Painting's NND Teeny. Help yourself, come on in, grab a snack, and hit the like button on the way to your seat. And for anyone that is new, hi, I'm Tammy. I do have a neuromuscular disease, and I started my channel for one reason and one reason only, to help people. So, yes, I do, Dorda. Um, I wanted to interview people, and thank you, Dorda, and just kind of see how it would go, and it went really well, and it's so rewarding, especially when I get messages from people telling me how I helped him. And it all started with my friend Adam, Berkeley Diamond. He has a channel, please go check it out. It all started with him. He let me start interviewing with him, and then it led to one right after another after another. And if you watch any video at all on my channel, I encourage you to watch my live, not interviews with people, because they are really, really good and really rewarding. And you're not just finding yourself in the same predicament as they are, and they can help you. They did me. They teach me things every day. So I just wanted to announce that. I realized I'd never done that, and I never know. Somebody might be new here. Okay, so now we had Nut Nut. Hi, Nut Nut. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. I don't know why my phone's dinging, but anyway, thank you, Nut Nut, for being here. Let's see. Katie and everyone will be here as long as I can. We had bad storms heading our way. Hope to cool it off here. It was still 90 and it's still 100 here at 6:51 p.m. Nut Nut, you stay safe. That's what's important. And if you gotta go, you gotta go. But you and your family stay safe. Where are you from, Nut Nut? I can't remember. And Lee, Mr. Lee's here himself. Thank you for the snack, Lee. I appreciate that. I can't do a lot without Maria milk. Hi, Ed. How are you? How are the storms there? I know you said you had some bad storms. We got Marty Jackson. Hi, Marty. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. We got Gabrielle. Good evening, Gabrielle. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming. We got Margaret. Hi, Margaret. How are you? Thank you for being here. We got Lily. Hi, Miss Lily. How are you? I'm not talked to you all day. I had that. I talked to her 2 or 3 times today. Hi, Matt. How's it going? How you doing? And we got Miss Jenny herself with the cat art. How are you? And we got, let's see. Thank you for coming, Jenny. I hope you're doing well today. And we got Miss Cat. Hello, Cat. How are you feeling? I hope you're doing well today. I'm not talking to you much today. I need to see how you're doing. Hi, Tina. How are you? Thank you for coming. And we got Kathy and Mr. Retta who's gonna whip my honey for not calling her yet. I swear I'm gonna do that. I swear. I got you on the list. I do. Give me the Saturday. Saturday evening. Probably you'll hear helping me film a video, a surprise video that I've been working on forever for you guys. So give me the Saturday and I'll call you. We got Nell. Hi, Nell. What's up? Thank you for coming. I know you've had stuff going on today, so thank you for being here. And we got Miss Kristen herself, the Bleachy Bleach. How are you? I talked to her today for a while. She and I and not Loretta, and oh Lord, what's your name that there? Jeanette. I got Jeanette's name for a minute. I'm sorry, I didn't want to call you Kristen. Let's see. And I'm moving on down, guys. Moving on down. I like to say hello to my desk. The South Shore we got some bad, loud flats of thunder. Unnerving, otherwise I like thunderstorms as well that can crawl under the cover. Yeah, Cat. That's a good way to enjoy a thunderstorm under the feathers. Whatever. I don't know how you even see him. Hi, Mr. Rich. How's it going? All right, I made it to the end. Okay, a couple quick announcements. First of all, thank you guys for being here. Um, all the titles had been mailed out, shipped out. That I know of, except for 1 and 9, and that will be shipped out tomorrow to Nancy. If you're here, Nancy. Hi, dear. How are you? Thank you for coming. I was hoping you had time to come here. I know Thursdays are a busy evening for you, so thank you for making it. So, and then I know a couple of prizes are going to be sent out within the next few days. So everybody should have their prizes in a week or so at least. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get one out, Nancy, but it's just been crazy here. I've been crazy busy. You've had a downpour as we unloaded the car. That's fun, Dixie. That's fun. I didn't call me down for it. No fun. My chair died. And I sit in the middle of the road with rain dripping down my face because I can't move. So another thing, I did start a Facebook page and for my channel, and my mods and aliens and I have invited lots of people, but I can't find some of these people, some of you guys for some reason. I don't know why. That I'm making the announcement that I started a Facebook page, and so please look me up and join us over there because that's where I'm gonna start making channel announcements and all that. Instead of putting it on my personal page, uh, I'll probably still post the live on my personal page because I found out my aunt liked to really watch them. So the other than that, everything else for the channel will be on my channel page. If I have a party or a picture live or whatever, that will be announced there. So you don't have to even out for a drive right into the store and it was wild. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. So that's all the announcements I have. Tonight I have a wonderful guest here. Her name is Jeanette, and Lord, I hope I don't mess up this name. Jeanette McClurkin. Did I mess up your name? If I did, I'm sorry. But she is gonna tell us her story. I met Jeanette through Gypsy Discord, and she's a lovely woman. And she and I and Kristen and Ren and sometimes Rick, we hang out over on the Down Art Emporium Discord channel. And today I got to hang out with her, and she's just fascinating to listen to. So I'm going to bring her on stage and let her tell you her story. And hi, Michelle. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So, Jeanette, are you ready? Okay. Everybody, here's Jeanette. Hi.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yep.
I
Hear
think that
you.
was a collective nod. My
Yeah,
name is Jeanette McClurkin. You said it pretty good,
I
Tammy.
did.
My previous married name was Dimmick, and I actually had, when you had phone solicitors, I
Yeah.
had somebody call and say, "Is Mrs. Dimcock there?" And I was like, "Where did they get the extra C?" And I said, "No, there's nobody here by that name," and I hung up. But anyway, I am 65 years old. I have had 2 marriages that didn't last, but that's okay. So I'm on my own now, but I have family nearby, and I have an amazing life. I have a lot of fun. I get to do pretty much what I want to do. Sometimes I have to be creative in how I do it. But let me back up a little bit and start 25 years ago. I was at work. It was a busy Saturday. I was wearing a suit and high heels because I was a store manager. And I was running around like crazy. And I had what I thought was a minor accident at work. I was back in the shop trying to convince my shop foreman that he needed to stop what he was doing and swap out this deck for a customer that had accidentally gotten a defective deck that hadn't been checked out right. And I didn't want him to have to wait another hour. And so I did something I never do at work, and I lost my temper. And I said, "Ben, you just have to do it." And as I was going, I had 2 phone calls get paged for me, a couple of salespeople in front of me, and then the brand new guy who started that day came up and tapped on my left shoulder. I had the box like this, and the bench was to my right. And so I had already started the throwing down motion when he tapped on my shoulder, and I went, "Hold on." And the box went right in the top of my first metatarsal. I didn't know what that was either. That's your big toe. It's that high arch on your foot. And it just broke a little bone underneath, which I didn't find out until months later because I figured ice, elevate, I'll be fine. I didn't want to file an L&I claim. Eventually I had to because, after a week, still I couldn't weight bear. I had to go to the doctor. I worked the whole time. I just used crutches and made it work. And then after that, I started my journey of surgeries. I had, from the time I got hurt until the time they amputated my leg, I had 5 surgeries. It was a 5-pound box that I threw in my foot, but by losing my temper that day, I ended up ultimately losing my foot. So 5 surgeries, 3.5 years. The pain kept getting worse. I couldn't walk anymore. And I went to my doctor's appointment. He said, "Okay, here we go. This surgery, the next surgery, I feel is going to work so long as you go in it with a positive attitude." I said, "I can do that. Whatever you need me to do, I will do it." I had already done every therapy and every idea, pain management treatment known to mankind for the last 3.5 years, along with those surgeries. So I thought, yeah, I can do it. He goes, "Okay, it's going to be reconstructive surgery." I said, "Okay, good. Wow, why haven't we done that before?" He goes, "Well, it's pretty much my last effort." I said, okay, so what is it? And he bends over and he gently lifts up my right leg. And then he kind of, with his forefinger, draws a little wiggly line about 3 inches below my knee. He goes, well, we start by amputating right here. And I pulled my leg back and sat up straight. And I said, whoa, 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 Dr. B, that sounds like destructive surgery. And he goes, I know it sounds like that, but it's going to get you your life back. And what do you ask me every time when you come in here? I had the same sentence. Same question I asked him every time I came in. Can I go back to work yet? When will the pain be better? And this had gone on for years. So he was like, nope, this is going to work. And after he explained the pros and cons, I was on board. And he introduced me to a woman who had fallen off a 5-foot ladder. And her name was Karen. And she had broken the little bone on the outside of her foot. And she had had a couple surgeries to try to fix it, which didn't work. So he had given her the same news he gave me. And he figured the two of us could trauma bond and go through this process together, which we did. And there was an amputee support group at Harborview, which is the big medical center in Seattle that I was going to. And he wanted me to go to the support group every week for 2 to 3 months. And then he would work on getting the surgery approved because I got hurt at work. So that was a process. And then we would do the surgery. So it would be several months down the road. And I met the most amazing people at the support group. I like to deal with things with humor. I mean, if you can't laugh, your life kind of gets really yuck. And so I laughed my way through my amputation. We did the craziest thing. After my leg was, I'm kind of jumping forward. After my leg was amputated, my then boyfriend and I had gone down to Las Vegas to visit his friends and then over to California to visit my son. And while we were in Las Vegas, I found this 5-foot long bullwhip. And so I bought it. And I always wore kind of these combat type boots. And I was real slim then before I gained weight. And so I had on this little pleated black and white, like a schoolgirl skirt with a few inches above the knee. And so my prosthetic at that point was a thigh corset lacer, which meant it was kind of like a bucket on the bottom, titanium braces, and then it had a black leather corset that went up on my thigh and a belt around my hips. So I walked in there and I had the bullwhip hidden in a bag. And I came out and said, the guy I was dating, we'll just call him R. I said, R would not listen to me on this trip. But once I got this and I pulled the bullwhip out and snapped it on the floor, oh my God, people were laughing. I said, he listened to everything I said. And I had one lady actually fell out of her chair because she was laughing so hard. But we would do crazy stuff like that. So that was leading up to the amputation. I started bonding with these people who met life with joy. You know, you have a choice with everything that's handed to you in life. You can either learn to deal with it, or you can have a pity party. Or, I mean, after my leg was amputated, I confess about 6 to 8 weeks in, maybe, I threw myself a pity party. I even had engraved napkins. I had the little tea sandwiches. I went all out. Guess what? Nobody showed up but me. And I realized right away, that was a pity party in my mind, by the way, that it took all the joy out of fun. And I had 3 kids that I needed to be present for. So I learned to not do that so much. I had never been depressed in my life until leading up to the amputation. And that's when I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and then also generalized anxiety disorder. And that just popped up because of the anticipation of the surgery. Although on the day of the surgery, I walked in with a smile into the surgery room where you go in to get ready, the pre-op. And they said, well, here, you can hop in the chair. And I said, oh, no, I'm enjoying my last few steps. And so I walked in and they said, well, we're going to have you right up by the nurse's station. Do you want to get something to calm my nerves? And I said, oh, no, I'm fine. And then like 5 or 10 minutes later, as I watched them all bustling around, I flagged a nurse down and I said, I'll take that Xanax now. I think maybe I will need it after all. And then the doctor came in and he was super nice. I mean, I've known him for years at this point. He was a doctor who would actually call me at home before a surgery to see if I had any questions. How many doctors do that? I've just been so lucky throughout this entire process. And so once he and the anesthesiologist went back to the surgery suite, I had the nurse, I said, can you do me a favor? I need you to grab a permanent marker and do a little writing on my leg. She goes, no problem. So I took the pen first and scribbled a line about 3 inches below my knee. And I said, now I need you, I made kind of a jagged line, just like what he had shown me months before. I said, now I want you to write above it, cut here, and put an arrow pointing down. And then below it, I want you to write cut here with an arrow pointing up. And she goes, oh, okay, he'll like that. I said, and then on the other leg, I want you to write going all the way from my knee down to my foot. Don't even think about it. She goes, okay. Because in Florida, somebody had accidentally, the doctor had accidentally amputated the wrong leg. And it was like a couple months before. And I was darn sure that wasn't going to happen to me, which it did not. They did the right leg. So, well, apparently when they pulled up when they took the covers off me to prepare to start the surgery, my doctor was the resident. So he had a bunch of doctors that were in training there watching the surgery. And on top of that, he was videotaping it for an educational video on how to do a below knee amputation, because he was an expert in the field. And so when they pulled the covers up, I guess everybody cracked up laughing, including my doctor. But he knew he goes, I knew you'd do something. So when I went in for my first post-op appointment after I was out of the hospital, what does he do? He offers me a DVD of my amputation. And I said, oh no, I'll go a lot of places, but I'm not going to go there. So I never got that. But when I woke up from surgery, I had an eye pop where my foot used to be. And an eye pop, it was an experimental thing they were trying at that time to get you up walking faster. So it was called an immediate post-operative prosthesis. And this thing was on the bottom of a big heavy cast covering where my leg was. And it bolted in and I could unbolt it. So if I was sleeping, or I could have it on. And when I woke up after surgery, and I told them I needed to go to the bathroom. They brought me a walker and said, only put 20% of your weight on your amputated leg and let's walk to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And they said, yes, you are, Jeanette. Dr. B said you had to. And I did it. And man, that was a lesson in, okay, follow the doctor's orders, even if it hurts. And it got better. And by 6 weeks, I had my first prosthetic, and I was walking independently. I wasn't walking the way I should have been walking, but I was walking. And about a month later, they sent me to physical therapy. And the physical therapist asked me, Jeanette, before you had your leg amputated, did you always walk looking down and watching your feet? She goes, you must have ran into some walls. I said, no, of course not. She goes, well, then don't do it now. Stand up straight. And then, and she said, the other thing, did you always used to vault over your right leg, just barely let it touch and then get over as fast as you could? I said, well, I figured that would lessen the pain. She goes, it'll actually make it hurt more. We need to get you walking evenly. And she taught me to lead with my headlights, which is also known as your hip bones. So they need to go first. Stand up straight. And then she said the magic words. I want you to walk as if. And I was like, as if what? She goes, as if you still had your leg, because you do. It's just different than it was before. And that was like the way she said it, it was like mind blown. Of course it is. I do have my leg. It's just a different leg. And that kind of set the tone for my recovery. And I learned to walk as if, and I still walk that way. If I'm having a rough day and my leg hurts, if I find myself limping, I will use my wheelchair, because if I'm limping, it means that my leg is telling me, don't be walking on us, because the nerve damage gradually came back over the years. So it's been 25 years since my accident, 22 years since my amputation. And 2 years ago, I had a kind of a revision surgery, the first one I ever had. And we didn't know if it would work or not. And the conclusion is that it didn't give me the results I was hoping for, which was that it would be pain-free. But it did improve things, and it got rid of some problems. But during the course of my life, get the camera, as an amputee, I want to share some of the fun things I've done. I went ziplining in Costa Rica, which involved hiking through the rainforest, climbing up on platforms, and then zooming across while you see the wild monkeys and things around you. It was amazing. And then another one I did was going on regular hikes. I hiked out to Cape Disappointment, is only a couple hours away from me. So I hiked out there. I'd go on 1 to 2 mile hikes. I did that for the first few years. Walking on like loose sand and gravel, that's the harder part. But you gradually learn to listen to your foot. I went to a day-long seminar where all they did is teach us how to feel different parts of our foot. So my daughter was with me. She was my helper. We all had to bring a helper. And she would blindfold me, and then she would tap on one part of my foot, like say on the right side of my foot, back close to the ankle. And I would have to tell her exactly where it was at. And this went on all day with different exercises. And by the end of that day, I got really good at listening to my foot. And by listening to it and slowing down just a little bit, I can walk on pretty much any type of surface, so long as I pay attention. That's kind of how I live life now. Just do it. Just go for it. And I am so grateful that I am here, that I have my family. I have 3 kids, 11 grandkids. I actually watch my grandkids. 3 of them I have 12 hours a day, 4 days a week right now for the summer break. And one of them is 2.5 years old. She's a busy, busy, busy girl. And she loves her Nana.
Of course.
But some other things I've done is I've taken ballroom dancing lessons. That was fun. And then in the last few years, I actually I took, at this bar about an hour away from me, I took 2-step lessons for a year. And did you know that the woman walks backwards the whole time in 2-step? I didn't know that. And guess how much backwards walking I had done as an amputee? Not a lot. But the handsome fireman that I was paired with helped me figure it out. And I had a lot of fun.
Fun.
But
It's in here, so talk double ways. I'll do that. So one of you come on and talk to her. Don't leave her on stage alone.
oh, okay, you got to step out.
No, I don't. I said it's thunder in here, so Todd, go away. That's why.
Okay.
Thunder.
Oh, right. Okay, I understand.
Okay,
So-
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just didn't want you to wonder that Lee or they're the one adult them to come on stage and talk to you.
Okay, no problem.
So go ahead.
So obviously I did have to sit down a fair amount of time, and
sure.
I started doing crafting. I swear I have crafting ADD. I would see something new and it's like squirrel, and then I'm off doing that. And right now I need to destash my house because I have so many crafts here. I started with beading because that was easy. That was small. Then I went on to crocheting. Here's a blanket. Okay, so we call these whips too. This is a whip because I've made it's probably the size of a full-size bed, but there is like starfish and stuff on it. But I still have like 3 fish to sew on it. So once I do that, it'll be done. And then from there, I went on to quilting. And I would take classes or go to retreats. And this was the first quilt I ever made. And it was supposed to be a queen size quilt, but I was like, oh man, I ended up making it into 2 throw size quilts instead. And this was probably 14 years ago, and it's still going strong. And then from there, I went on to embroidery. Now I'm leaning against this quilt that is hand embroidered, that I spent an entire year doing the embroidery.
Oh, wow.
And then I did all the stitching to put it together. And it was a quilt for my then husband. And on the back of it for the quilt label, I had a speeding ticket that said he was being issued a ticket for going 95 in a 60-mile-per-hour zone, and had the date and everything. Well, when we were getting divorced, I told him he did not get to keep that blanket. That quilt was staying with me. And I ripped the label off, and I'm in the process of redoing it as if I had given it to my mom and dad, who passed away 7 years ago, just so that it has a different memory for me.
Right.
So then I was quilting for a while. I did a lot of embroidery, took embroidery classes, and I went back to quilting. Then I started doing album making, and where I would actually make the album from pressboard, cover it, add pockets and flaps and all kinds of things. And then from there, back to quilting again. Man, quilting was a recurring thing until, before quilting, I did resin work. So this is a soap dispenser that I made.
Didn't
And
that?
I can't find it in the other resin right now. And then from there, I went back to quilt making. So there's a quilt I made. Oh, and in this one, I don't know if you can see, but quilting involves 2 skills. One is piecing the little pieces together, and then the other one is sandwiching it with the back. In this case, I used Minky, and then putting it on my long arm machine to quilt it together. So I did that. That was a new skill in quilting. And then in November, I discovered Project Linus. And I joined the local chapter, the Pierce County chapter. And what Project Linus does is we supply quilts to kids who are like in the hospital, children's hospital, with like cancer or serious illness. We also supply quilts for kids who are homeless, or kids who are in foster care. This year, we just delivered the last of them, over 470 quilts for kids that are entering pre-K classes in our school district, Pierce County School District. We make quilts for kids of wounded veterans that get to go to a camp in the summer out at a local, one of the Camp Sawyer, I think it is. And there was 170 kids coming, so we made 170 quilts for that. Last year, we made and donated over 4,000 quilts. And I think this year we're doing that again. So, and I have met a great fellowship of women there, some men. We meet every Wednesday from 3 to 7:30, 3:30 to 7:30. And people come if they can. And then we do work at home. Like I used to take a bunch of quilts home, and then I would quilt them on my long arm machine. I also volunteer at a senior retirement home. an assisted independent living home, and we go and we tie fleece blankets for kids. And I'll tell you what, we've been doing that for over a year, and I have made some really dear friends there. They're so excited to see us when we come walking in with our wagon full of supplies. It's a lot of fun. But then I had a problem. In November, well, it started in October, but in November, it was the 2-year anniversary from my surgery. And I had to come to accept the fact that I didn't get the cure I had hoped for. I'd had surgery 2 years before. And I allowed myself to get really depressed. You know how when you, well, I don't know if any of you know this, but I would like fall into this hole, or I'd feel like I was in a fishbowl. Everybody else was out of it, but I couldn't talk to him. So I quit going to Linus. I quit talking to my friends. I quit doing any quilting. I have a quilting group I usually Zoom with on Saturday. I just pulled into myself, you know? And I was coming back from having an appointment at an orthopedic surgeon for my hand, and I stopped at this craft store. And I went in there, and they have everything in there, including a big diamond painting section, which had a lot of art dot and some other canvases. The difference is they had these canvases rendered and framed up on different displays. It was gorgeous. I'm walking through here going, oh man, I think I could do that. Maybe I don't know. Would I be patient? And so I found these two ladies were there, a mom and her daughter, and they were buying a bunch of diamond paintings to use as prizes for an auction that they had coming up. And I saw this beautiful image that was the baby in the manger with Mary and Joseph, and it was round, and I thought, oh, I want that. But of course it was out of stock. But I ended up taking a picture of the image, and I found it, and I did it as soon as it came in. And then I started buying, of course, as we all do, some couple of Temu canvases. And then I realized about licensing, and I switched. And now what has happened is that diamond painting has been my savior, and the diamond painting community, especially the community that I'm in now with all of you. I feel like I could message anybody here and they would listen to me, and they would talk to me, and they see me as I am. And that is the best thing ever. I am occasionally quilting. Actually, Ditzy has a retreat coming up next year in March, and Ditzy and I are in cahoots. I am making something for everybody at the retreat, and that's all I'm going to say. But it's going to be awesome. So you should go and get on the waiting list, because the West Coast Bling retreat is going to be incredible. But before that, we have Witches coming up with Ren at Diamond Art Emporium, and of course Kristen, my bestie, who is the artist of all the witches. I met her by buying a release paper for her painting called Playing with Fire. And I loved it so much that I ended up writing the shop owner, which was Bead Crafty Corner, and asked her who the artist was. And she goes, well, it's there on the description. So I saw her name. So I put her name in and put diamond painting, and it came up with Ren's shop. And I ordered that canvas so fast. You have no idea. And I was showing everybody that cover sheet saying, look at this. Isn't this amazing? This release paper. And I've ordered the full-size canvas. So I participated in a lot of events, and I have a lot of work in progresses because I haven't been able to finish everything because I'm not as fast. But Kristen and I are on Discord in Ren's group on diamond painting, Diamond Art Emporium Discord channel. And so anybody's welcome to join us there at any time. I think I've probably put most of you to sleep now, and I apologize for that. But
No, I haven't.
Tammy, do you have any questions? Or
I do. Um, well, Dr. Law, can you take us through your day? Like, how did your day begin? Do you have a special routine that you need to do for your leg? Do you have to do any special exercises or do you have to rest at certain points? How did your
well,
day?
I always start the day by texting Kristen to see if she wants to do Discord, and then I get a cup of coffee and I start diamond painting. A lot of times I start diamond painting in my pajamas and I don't have my leg on yet. At home, I am guilty of not wearing my leg all the time, and I use my wheelchair. And COVID was really bad for me because I was used to getting out and going all the time. And so I got used to not walking. And it's really hard to get that back. So I am not doing an exercise routine right now, but that is my plan to do. So typically I diamond paint from about 8 to 9 a.m. my time until about 3 or 4. And then I take a break and I usually take a nap. I elevate my leg and I take a nap. And then I will diamond paint for a couple more hours and then eat dinner and watch TV. Kristen's into horses, so she's gotten me into horses. So we've been watching Wildfire on Netflix. It's an old show, but I highly recommend it. It's really good. So I don't do anything special with my leg other than I have like a liner that is kind of like a thick wetsuit material almost that I put on first on my stump, and then I put a thick prosthetic sock over that, and then that slips down into my socket, and there's a sleeve on the outside of that kind of bucket bottom part of my leg, and I pull that up over my knee, and it's called a suspension sleeve. There's different ways of having your leg, your physical body attached to your prosthetic leg. And that is the most basic way, the suspension sleeve. The other way is to have a pin, which is like a bolt that screws into the end of your like wetsuit type liner. And then there's a hole, a receiver down in your socket, and you stand on it and you pump your leg down in there and it locks it in place. I can't use that because of the nerve damage that keeps coming back on the bottom of my leg. And so it pulled on my leg when we did try that, and that didn't work. Another way is we tried with what was called a suction liner, and it had these like, it really looked very much like a man's unit because it had these ridges, 3 rows of ridges, and then it went out. And you could, when you put it in your leg, those ridges, that silicone would flatten out, and that would give you that extra grip on the socket, and you were supposed to be able to walk with it. So I got fitted with that at one point, and he got me to sign off on the leg. This was the first year that I was an amputee. And I think maybe a week later, I was walking. The more you walk, the more your leg shrinks, especially at the beginning. So I was walking, and all of a sudden, you move your leg forward and you put your heel down and walk. And my leg went flying off. So I hop it on one foot going, uh-oh, can somebody grab my foot, please? So that was funny. But I ended up, it took a while, but I got a new leg. And then I went to the thigh corset kind that laced up. It had the belt. And with that, I was able to go skiing, snow skiing, with that leg. We did ski biking. So I used a modified bike that had skis on the front and back. And I had about 12-inch skis on each foot. And you rode up the chairlift holding this heavy bike. And then when you got off, you got on the bike and went skiing down the hill. I used to ski before I got hurt. So it was super fun to be able to do that again. But yeah, I don't really have a set routine. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
That's fine. Lourdes said, Jeanette, please explain in the end Unit 13. You just ignore her. She's lost her mind. Lourdes crazy.
What did she say?
Explain in the end Unit 13.
Okay, it's also called a dick or a has a different word too, but I'm just gonna leave it there.
Thank
But
you.
if you need more help from that, then you should talk to Tammy after the live. Tammy goes, no, not me.
Lourdes, oh my Lord, have mercy. What? I got crazy people helping me out here. I'm sorry. So Adele, how far? I'm gonna. I can't even think now. So how far can you walk on your legs without having to rest?
Right now I am on I've been on it for years, a step budget. And I have to reevaluate that budget frequently. But right now I can only walk about maybe 3 blocks. I'm very limited. Now, if I have my wheelchair with me and I have that in front of me to stabilize it, then I could probably do double that.
Right.
Without having to sit down. But I used to be able to walk, like at the beginning, a couple miles and ride my bike 20 miles without a problem. But because I haven't been physically active like I used to be, I've kind of lost a lot of that. So I've got to work on getting better. It's either that or I need to get a motorized scooter.
Okay. So you don't have a motorized scooter. Okay.
I don't. I have a manual wheelchair, which I've fallen out of multiple times from trying to get things off the floor.
Right.
And I hurt myself pretty bad about a month ago. And that was hard because then I was down to only having one arm that worked and one leg that was good. So that was a challenge. But walking around the house, I have my leg on now. I usually put my leg on in the morning and then wear it until 11 o'clock at night. Once I put it on, it's easy to just leave it on.
Does it
Mostly.
hurt after a while? Did it cause you any pain at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How
I
many?
live with chronic pain, but I choose not to focus on that. So I was on narcotic pain medicine for 17 years. And I told my doctor I only ever took it as prescribed. But I realized probably the last 10 years I was on there, even more, that it really didn't ever eliminate the pain. And it was no longer really reducing the pain. And so my doctor and I worked hard on getting me off of that pain medicine. And now I don't take any narcotic pain medicine. I will use something like BioFreeze or different things like that if my leg is really bothering me. Or ice is a great thing. I just wrap my leg in ice, elevate it, and 20 minutes later, it's feeling pretty good. But like right now, it's hurting. It hurts more if I talk about it. Is that weird? I don't know if that's weird. But
No,
what about with you, Tammy? Do you have pain?
I had horrendous pain, and I done pain, or I'll talk to my friends, or I'll read a book or watch a movie, and it alleviates the pain a little. But the minute I start to talk about it, it kind of makes me aware of it more, and it makes it worse. It does. It really does.
Me too. Yeah. So I try not, I mean, I talk about it. Obviously, I don't mind at all talking about it today. And I told you before the live that there is nothing off limits here. And by the way, Berta, I know you want to know this. I've been divorced for a few years now, so I no longer participate in this activity at this current time, but sex was fine as a one-legged woman. So, you can still do a lot with one leg. Never the prosthetic in bed, though. Never, ever, ever. Sorry. Was that oversharing?
No, it was not oversharing. Berta was dying to know. And
I know she was.
out of her chair.
Okay.
You
I wasn't dying to know.
no.
Okay. I wasn't asking your permission to come on. I have to defend. No, no, no. No.
Hey, you asked for that one, girl. You asked.
Oh my God. I'm dying over here, by the way, Jeanette. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're what?
She's dying. She said she's dying. If you watch the screen, if she leaves the camera on, she'll fall out her seat, probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what I noticed, I glanced over at the comments for a minute there, and I saw that somebody asked about phantom pain. And
Yeah.
phantom pain is real. I had 3.5 years from my injury to my amputation. And the way my doctor explained, he said the recovery is typically as long as your period, as long as your period of time that you've been trying to get better until the amputation. So I had 3.5 years of surgery and different therapies. So he said it would be realistic for me to expect anywhere from 1 to 3.5 years to really recover. And the phantom pain, he said, is worse the longer you go on with the bad pain. So with the phantom pain, I used to get like an electric shock that would come from the left side of my leg and go across, and it would come up on my hip. And now I get it more like it feels like there's an ice pick being shoved in the heel of my foot. And if I am in a car, I have to have who's ever driving, if it's me or somebody else, pull over so that I can hop out of the car and stomp on my foot. Because that way I'm reminding my stump that, hey, you're done. You don't have anybody down there you're trying to defend anymore. So knock it off with this pretend pain. It's not real. I picture an army of soldiers that were warriors in, I don't know, Elizabeth in England, and they're in their metal armors and they have their pike on the top of the head, the spike up there. And I've taken them and we're on a grassy, and what they would do is if they thought there was a problem, somebody getting near my foot, for example, they start with their pike poles poking up on my foot, and it would be a whole big noisy racket of horrible pain when they would do that. And I learned that if I talk to him, that's how I quit smoking too. I talk to myself, but I would say, hey guys, the war, I appreciate all your effort, really, truly, but the war is over. I hate to tell you this, we lost, but it's no big deal because now you get to relax on this grassy knoll, and we are going to have some lovely serving ladies come in and serve you, and you can treat them like ladies. And then we're going to have your families brought in, and you just get a life of luxury now. No more. You don't have to warn me of any danger. And so every once in a while, the guys forget, and somebody goes, oh no, there's trouble in Rivers. They all hop up and start poking me again. And I have to say, guys, stop, everybody, take a breath and relax. And as silly as it is, I picture that, and I legitimately do that probably, I don't know, maybe 4 times a month. It's not as often now as it used to be. and it really helps.
You're a nice woman. You really are.
What?
Do, do you have pain? No, not pain. Do you have feeling on your leg at all? Like below the knee? Do you have any
You
feeling?
mean feelings where my leg used to be?
Yeah. Or
Yes, I do.
like you did.
I actually, the easiest way to describe it is I feel my toes as if there was a bear clamp that didn't have any pokey parts. They're rounded edges, a little cushion, so it's just a little bit of pressure, and it's right where the toes meet the foot. And it just kind of a little pressure and it tingles. So I feel that all the time, and I feel my heel all the time. So when I walk as if, because in my brain, it's my foot. And so I don't have a problem with, I haven't kicked it off for what, over 20 years now. And it's always there. It breaks once in a while and then I fall. But you know what? I used to fall before I even got hurt. I was a little bit of a klutz. So yeah, but no, I do definitely feel my foot. I don't feel, right now I'm feeling it because I'm thinking about it, but my shin from where it's cut off down to the ankle, I really don't feel that much. It's mostly the foot, the heel and the toes is what I really feel.
Yeah. So about how long after you hurt your leg did you realize that you really had a serious injury? Um, did you already answer that? It-
No, it was my first surgery was, I got hurt on February 29th of
Mhm.
2000.
Yeah.
So it was on leap year. So I only have an anniversary of 4 years. But on June of that year, the middle of June, is when I had my first surgery. And they did a fusion on my first metatarsal. And it was that surgery. I couldn't walk. I couldn't wait there for 6 to 8 weeks. They wanted me off work. And I was the store manager. I couldn't be gone that long. So after 2 or 3 weeks, I had him build a ramp, a wheelchair ramp, so that I could use the wheelchair. I had crutches too, but you can't race around the store in crutches all the time. So they built ramps where I needed to go in and out of rooms. And that worked pretty good. And but it was at that point, as I was healing from that surgery, after I thought I was healed, I had the all clear, I could walk. I'd been back at work for a month. And part of my job involved getting in and out of customers' cars and listening to them. If they had a concern or all the other salespeople were busy, I'd go help. So I had a customer that had a big lifted Jeep, right? And and I had, of course, one of my suits on that the skirt was above the knee a little bit. So there was a 5-foot ladder back in the shop that was for me so that I could get in and out of the lifted vehicles. So I climbed up in there and then we had to close the door so we could hear the stereo. So they moved the ladder away, listened for a few minutes. And then when I went to leave, there was nobody there to put the ladder out. So the customer was going to go around and get the ladder, but it wasn't put right outside the door. So he was looking for it. And I thought, oh, I can do this. I'll just hold on to the door and slide down and land on my good foot, which is what I did. But then my good foot buckled and I landed and my bad foot went down and I heard the snap. I broke my foot. And I was like, what are the odds? Jeanette, you idiot. And that was before I learned that I shouldn't ought to call myself an idiot. So I was in a cast. I had to go to the doctor and I was in a cast boot, but I went right back to work. And then after a couple of months, I got the all clear to walk again, back in high heels, right? And it was the week of Thanksgiving, and the screws that they had put in my foot, one of them backed out in the joint, and oh man, excruciating pain. And they wanted to do the surgery right then. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't. Black Friday is this week. I have to be at my store this weekend. So I had surgery on that Monday, and it was just, I think it was probably, so that was the second surgery. The third surgery is when I knew I was in big trouble. The fact that I even needed a third surgery, that my foot wasn't getting better, and that the doctor told me, the surgeon I was seeing after the third surgery, he goes, well, you know, when I operated on your foot this time, I took out a bunch of scar tissue. And I also sent that tissue out to do a, you know, to have them tell me exactly what was there. And there was a lot of scar tissue and there was some nerve. Well, when you have when you have nerves, and if you cut them, they kind of sprout out like a rose would. If if you've ever had roses and you trim them back, they grow back with more branches. Well, I would develop neuromas, and neuromas are bundles of these nerves that they don't have any place to go. And so they bundle up in a ball. Well, if I got one in my stomach from a stomach surgery, no harm, no foul, because I wouldn't even know it. But when it was on the top of my foot, I really knew it. And I learned all about nerve damage and how something as simple as a 5-pound box can have long-term ramifications. And I had to learn to forgive myself over losing my temper. But I rarely, if ever, lose my temper now, because I did it that time really bad and I lost my foot. And I don't want to lose the other foot. So yeah, we're going to stay as even killed as we can.
Wow. You are amazing. And I'm going to read you some comments here. There's about 17. Now, a lot of people have a lot of things to say to you. So when you're ready, I will read them to you.
Okay, I am ready.
Okay, I'm going to put them on the screen as I read them. Melanie said, oh my God, that gotta be a shock. Having seemingly a small injury leads to an amputation. You know,
Yeah,
and no, that has to be difficult.
it
And
was a
yet,
challenge.
I tell you what, I, I, I you inspire me. You did. Now, I thought I was strong, but nah, I got nothing on you. Um, Kristen said you're amazing. You're inspirational. And then Dixie said, wait a minute. Okay, she said you did a kitty party, then you rubbed some dirt in it and found the funny. It's not time to doubt, and that's true. Gabrielle said, thank you, Jeanette, for sharing your stories. And then Kristen said, this is the most inspirational and kind community I have ever been in. I'm so glad Timmy has people in the community tell their stories. It reminds us how precious life is in the community, and that is true. It does. And Jay Lily said that you're amazing, and she is so right. And then Dixie had a question for you. Do you hand stitch the hem edges?
Do I hand stitch what?
Do you hand stitch the hem edges? Like when you quilt, do you hand stitch the edges? Can you see the screen?
Yes. Oh, but I can't read it. My eyes aren't that good. I
Okay.
do hand stitch. I used to I think she's talking about the binding on the
Yeah,
quilt, maybe that goes around the quilt. And I used to hand stitch it, but I can't do that now because this is one of my first quilts. Probably 5 years in, and I hand stitched it until I found this wonderful lady who would put the bindings on for me free. And then on the last ones, I learned how to put them on with the sewing machine. I mean, I just stitch them on, and that works really good.
Okay. Okay, just
Yeah.
do that.
I don't, I have trouble with my hands. I've had a couple of surgeries. Oh, sorry. Full surgeries, and my hands don't always cooperate. So I don't get to do as much hand stitching. And the diamond painting, though, has just totally filled my soul. So that's good.
It is the diamond painting does. It just heals the soul. It does.
I think it does. Yeah.
It did mine. Okay, Lee said, Lenore said to say hi to me and everyone. She is having tablet issues. So, hi, Lenore. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming and listening to Christian stories, which I find so inspirational. And then you have Gabrielle, and she said, you are a crafty lady, Jeanette. I never seen someone do so many crafts in my life. I'm
I know
like,
it's great.
I kept naming them, and I'm like, what? I didn't know. I didn't even know what a couple of them were. And then Pat said, that's amazing that you're so crafty. And then Marty said, you are such an inspiration. And I agree, you
Thank
are.
you.
And then Gabrielle said that you can call her anytime, anytime. And this is the way. And then Dixie said, I love being in cahoots with you. So I don't know what you two had planned.
But
And
we're in cahoots.
I didn't know because I can't tell. So I'm gonna have to throw Dixie or you to tell me what you haven't. But I won't tell. Okay, and then Melanie said, Jeanette, you live close to her. She's in Renton. So you live next to Melanie.
Oh, we should get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm right down the road from you. My daughter lives in Renton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not fair. I don't live there too. But yeah, you can sit that and do something. That'd be nice. I don't live next to anybody that I know of. All my friends have to come to me if I see them. Like at GLE was just amazing. And then you had Kat. She said some circle lesson done. And she said, I did Stanton Tane after no. I doubt Stanton Tane after a double mastectomy. Most of it is to the side that had the breast cancer, very short at times. So she had
I'm
Stanton
sorry
Tane.
you get that. Yeah, it's no fun, and it definitely, I'm sure, takes your breath away.
And yeah, I yeah, it does. Berta said, if that worked for you, you do what helped you. So, because you were talking about what you did if you had phantom pain.
Yeah,
Whatever helped you, you do. Look,
that's right.
Lee said, hopefully I can get my brother to watch it because he too is an amputee. He just had his foot taken off. Maybe at the beginning of the year. Yeah, so I think
Yeah,
so.
and I'd be happy to talk to him. I used to visit new amputees as a peer visitor for the Amputee Coalition of America. I'd go to the hospital and introduce myself and wear long pants, and they wouldn't know I was an amputee. And then after about 10 or 15 minutes, I'd say, so I think I forgot to tell you that I am your amputee peer visitor from, the Amputee Coalition of America. And they'd be, so I had one lady who just looked so disappointed. And I said, what's wrong? She goes, well, I was really hoping they would send me an amputee. And I laughed and I pulled my pant leg up and I said, I am an amputee. And I think we're of an age. And I think that's why they chose me to come and see you. And we ended up just bonding over that. That was good.
That's incredible. That is. E said, Jeanette, your story of resilience is very inspiring, and I agree. It is. And
Thank
then
you.
Lee wants to know, well, he didn't. He said his brother wants to know how long it took you to get used to the prosthetic.
It took a while. I had quite the adjustment because of I developed patella tendonitis. The patella tendon is that is what bears a lot of weight below your knee, is kind of below the knee and to the right. And so we had to go through a lot of different leg styles before we finally found the thigh corset lacer that worked for me. And once I got that, man, I was off and running. The day I got my first prosthetic, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law were in town. And so I got it in Seattle, and we went down to Pike's Place Market, which is crazy town. And I walked all over the market, and they had told me, don't wear your leg more than 2 hours, and don't get too carried away or your leg will be too sore. Guess what? I couldn't wear it for 3 days after that. And then I started following the 2-hour rule until I worked my way up. But it's a mind game. A lot of it is you have to believe that you can, and you will. And you have to talk to your processes. And if it's not comfortable, you go back. Those first few legs, I might be in the process office all week long, every day for a couple hours a day. And then the next week too, until we got it to where I could walk on it. And you just have to talk to them and tell them what you need.
Well, it sounds like you have incredible care. Your doctor sounds like he was amazing. Just amazing.
He was amazing. Yeah.
And I'm happy about that because I've had a couple of major surgeries, and the doctor makes all the difference in the world because you can tell who's there just for the money or whatever, and then you can tell who's there just for, you know, the patient. And it makes a lot of difference in the recovery. It really does.
I think
So,
it does. Yeah.
Dorda said that her brother lived there too, and she goes to Seattle quite a few times a year. So you
Oh,
should it.
she'll have
Also,
to let me know when she's in town.
well, Dorda, you heard that. I think you did, unless you're still on the floor and laughing too hard. And then Eve said, there you go, the power of tears. And that's true. And then Kat said, great advice to lead brother, Jeanette, inspirational. So, I I had a question, then I read that and it went out of my head. Okay, so can you sleep in it overnight, your leg, or do you have to take it off? I
Do
think you
I?
can only wear your leg how many hours a day now?
12 to 14 hours on the days I put it on. Some days I just forget. And then I realize, dang, I never put my leg on. And if it's dinner time, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. But literally, it takes me about maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes to put it on. No, not that many. I'm talking seconds. We're less than a minute to put it on or to take it off. So, it's sometimes I'm just lazy, I think, and I don't put it on. But most days I put it on around 9 or 10 and I leave it on until I go to bed about midnight.
So, when you don't wear it, does it feel better, not to Larry? Is it more comfortable the pain less or the pain less with the legs on?
A lot of times the pain is less if I have it on. Sometimes if it's just hanging there and I'm not walking and putting weight on it, walking pushes out any swelling that I might get in there. And so if I don't wear my leg for a couple days, then the next day when I put my leg on, it's going to feel a little tight. But once I do a couple laps around the house, it'll be fine. But if I'm wearing my leg and I get a lot of pain, I take it off and do the ice. If I'm not wearing my leg and I get a lot of pain, I put the ice on it and then I put the leg on after that. So I just do the opposite if it hurts.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Hi, Mary. Thank you for coming. And you're not late. You're never late. All right. I've heard of this trick. Well, not trick, but a therapy thing that I do with a mirror. That it had. Do you know what I'm gonna say? The mirror. Does that work to you?
It did not work for me, where you use the mirror and you lay it by, you have a two-sided mirror and you lay it to where it reflects your, somehow you see your good leg as being doubled. So you feel like, so it visually, it looks like you still have your God-given OEM equipment, but it never worked for me because I could never figure out how to put the mirror when I came home after therapy. And it was like, you know what? I'll just talk to my leg and tell it it's there and just to knock it off and quit acting up. And so that's what I do. I talk to my foot.
That's incredible that worked. It is. I've never heard of someone doing that. I've heard of, the mirror. I've heard of, other things that I never heard of someone just talking to the foot. But if you think about it, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, and I never say derogatory things to myself anymore. I learned that in therapy. I don't call myself an idiot or stupid or foolish. I try to think about what I could do differently. But like when I was in the depressed stage, I was pulling up the idiot, stupid, foolish stuff until I did the kind of the reset with the diamond painting. And then getting into the first community I got into was not very healthy for me. So I left that one and I got into the new one with Ditzy and her team. And then now with it spread out, I feel like I'm meeting more and more people. And it's just been, it's like I landed in a safe harbor that I've been searching for, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a wonderful community. It is. And I don't know where I'd do without it. I really don't, because I have so many people and friends that I love, and they help me through the hard days. They do. And there are a number of people that I can call on a daily basis. And you know what? You had that too. And I want you to know that you do. But
Well,
there's not one person here that will not take your call. I know that. I know that.
well, thank you. And thank you to all of you who came to listen. I told Tammy I'd be happy to tell my story. By the way, it's the first time I've ever done that, but that I wasn't sure anybody would come to listen.
Oh, yeah, I knew they would. I knew
But
they
I
would.
appreciate you being here, everybody being here. It means the world to me. And I know it means a lot to Tammy. And I think her interviewing and introducing different diamond painters to each other, content creators, and just regular people like me, I think it's a great way to strengthen our community. And I'm really grateful that Tammy is doing this. Thank you, Tammy, so much for having me.
Well,
This
yeah,
is
it's not.
done. This has boosted my energy level a lot. And I appreciate that because I needed it.
So that makes me happy to hear that. It is my pleasure. I have been looking forward to having you here. I know when we were talking that day, and I just said, "Hey, did you want to tell your story?" And you said, "Sure." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Really?" And that made me so happy because I think that you can help a lot of people. I really do. And your attitude towards life reminds me of me, because I do the same thing.
You remind me of me too. I just see somebody who is, despite the obstacles that might have gotten thrown in your path, you are living life, enjoying life,
Yeah,
and that's what we have to do. That's what everybody needs to do. There are times when it's super hard to do that. I fully admit that, like, my last divorce just crushed me. But I finally pulled up my bootstraps and got over it. And it took a while. And the thing is that man, when we started dating, it was the funniest thing because he could have cared less that I was an amputee. And if I didn't have my leg on because it had been a bad day and we were just going somewhere quick, he would take the wheelchair out, put it in the car, give me a hand up into the car. And because I had a Chevy Tahoe, so I would put a knee on the running board and lift myself up, and he would help me. But then when we'd go somewhere, he'd open the passenger door and put his hand out to me because I always sat in the middle seat to help me down from the car. And I would look, and one day I just looked and smiled at him, and he smiled at me. He goes, "Sweetie, come on, let's go." I said, "Well, sweetie, count the number of legs I brought with me today." And he goes, "Oh, I forgot your wheelchair. Let me go get it." And so he'd go grab my wheelchair for me. And like if I'd say, "My foot's really cold, do you mind getting me a sock?" He'd always bring me 2 socks. And I'd say, "You are so sweet, but I only wear 1 sock at a time." So I won't need that other one right now because my prosthetic leg is over across the room and I can hear it telling me that it's not cold right now. So when it gets cold, I'll put the sock on. But he just never, ever treated me differently. Whereas my first husband could not accept the amputation. And this happens about 25% of the time when there's a really life-changing event like a traumatic brain injury, which I think would be way worse. An amputation, other things that happen that change some of the things you're able to do. And when I went to ask him for the divorce, after a year, I waited a year, he said that he was willing to go to therapy to get over. I'm not going to say his exact words because he doesn't feel that way now. And we're friends again after 20 years of being not married. But he just couldn't stand to touch me because it was just too weird for him that I didn't have a leg. And he was embarrassed that I didn't have a leg out in public because I fell a lot because he'd say, "No, don't fall, don't stumble." And I'd stumble. And it was like, dang it, don't tell me that and I won't stumble. But yeah, so I experienced one man who really judged me because of it. He didn't want to. I mean, he hated himself that he did that. And then the other one who could have cared less. But that marriage didn't work out either. So yeah, I would eventually like to find a man. If somebody knows a man that lives in this area that's looking for a one-legged lady, I am the one for him.
Berta, Nell, get on that. You're next to her. Get on
Yeah.
that. Thunder and then. Come on now. Do something. Get up. Thunder and then. So let's see. With the Eve, don't give me that look. Thunder and then. I'll talk to Berta after this. Sometimes I gotta get her in the gear. She's gonna kick my butt after this live. I know that. So,
Is she?
oh yeah, she's gonna, yeah. I'm hitting on her, and she's gonna let me have it. I know she is. The aide said that her dad was a wounded World War II warrior.
Oh, wow.
Said that he lost his leg in combat. He went on to become an optometrist, but he died very young of heart disease in 1966. I did not know this. I
Oh,
did not
wow.
wounded vet. I didn't know he became an optometrist. Wow, that that's
That's
something.
awesome. So he didn't let it define him either. And
No,
that's the thing. Don't be defined by what your physical differences might be. Oops, sorry, I
exactly.
kicked you guys again.
And
Just be defined by who you are, who
and
you
that
are on the inside.
our physical challenges does not define us. It doesn't define me, it
Exactly.
defines you.
I might
And
have to allow for it when I'm planning to go like
right,
to a festival or something,
right.
but it's not the be all and end all of who I am.
No, it's not. And Darla was making fun of me, and she said that I talked in my drills and my tin and my putty. And I do, you talk to your leg, and I talk to my drills, and that way I talk to my foot too. When it starts getting that pain,
Yes.
I yell at it. I don't talk to it, I yell at it, because we all know me, so I
That
get
sounds
mad.
like something I would do.
Yep, I yell at it. So let's see. And then he said that Dr. Negative self-talk changed her life. She used to talk negative too, she said, and then she stopped doing that, and it changed her life.
It
And
really does.
Lee wants to know, now Darla wants to know how long it took you to maintain your balance when you were walking.
Um, Maintaining my balance came pretty fast because remember, I woke up from surgery with that IPOP, immediate post-operative prosthetic. And for the time I was in the hospital, I used it for a couple of days, and then I had so much pain. I said, no, I'm not going to do this. And I wouldn't get out of bed. And I made them bring me a bedside commode. And then they had a come to Jesus meeting with me on day 7 after my operation and said, Jeanette, we usually discharge amputees on day 3, but you have refused to do your lap around the floor. You have to do it with a walker. And because you have stairs to get in your house, you have to do it to get up the stairs. And so he goes, I need you to do that today and you're going home tomorrow. And I did. But man, you can be so resistant to things sometimes.
You can.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you my experience after I read you a couple comments. Kristen said, too awesome and inspirational women. Well, thank you. I try to be inspiring to people and just let them know that I chose the same way you did, not to be bitter and hateful, because I assure you I will not be where I am today talking to you. Had I chosen to to be sad and depressed and lonely, because no matter if I was happy or if I was sad, I was still in that chair. Didn't matter. No
Right.
matter how I felt. So I chose to I I did the same thing you did, and I'm happy I did. And I'm thinking about telling my own story. Well, I am going to. I'm gonna come on here and then tell my own story. Because I told some of it, but I haven't told everything. You know, I had
Yeah.
some really hard things that I've been through, and I had come from death so many times. I lost him. So someone like you telling your story has inspired me even more to tell mine. I
Good.
do.
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, I'm doing it. I'm hosting about 100 events between now and December, so it'll be after that. But then I'm doing too. Um, Alicia Maria said, Jeanette, you reminded me, resilience isn't about never failing. It's about rising in ways we never imagined possible. I'm so grateful to be a listener and a fellow diamond painter in this community. And you're so right, Alicia. So let's talk about your diamond painting. So, um, you started diamond painting in what year again? Did you say
This past November.
the past November? And who's your favorite artist?
Oh, it is Peggy Collins.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. I don't have any of hers, believe it or not.
I
But
have a lot of hers. A lot of them are sitting right here by me.
wow. So how many have you completed?
Um, I should know this. Probably about 6,
Six?
but they're not really big. And I have probably, let's see, I have a big mystery canvas that's in the works. I have Mercury, which is a whip that I'm about a quarter of the way left. I have the one I'm working on now, the Gemini twins, one of Kristen's pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like 3 mini diamond painting kits that I have in progress. I always have a lot of stuff going on. I have a pride camp. Yeah, I would say I've done maybe 8. I think it's more than 6, 8, maybe 8 are finished. And I probably have 5 or 6 that are in progress. And then I have another 35 or 40 that I need to do. So yeah.
So who's your favorite? Well, what's your favorite shop? Do you have a favorite shop?
Um, the one I've purchased from the most is Diamond Art Club because they sell Peggy Collins.
Right.
She is one of their artists. But I am enjoying checking out other ones. Like I got a Muni Made canvas because they have my second favorite artist there, and blanking on her name. But I know there's going to be an event about her with her
Cat Fedora?
canvases. Yes,
Cat
Cat
Fedora.
Fedora. Yes. I
Yeah.
love her. I love her stuff. And you can get her at a few different places. So I am trying out different canvases. I just received some from Mystical Dream Diamonds, and I have a few Dreamers. That's where I bought it first. And then I switched, and then I was mostly buying at Diamond Art Club. So I'm just going to try them everywhere. Oh, and then the one with the diamond art, that's the one my grandson wants me to do next, which is a dragon on a stack of books. He wants to put it up in his room. He really likes it. He thinks the dragon looks very cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I
So,
got two of my grandkids diamond painting now, my grandson and my granddaughter.
wow. That's amazing. How old are they?
8 and 9.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
So
and then they're
do you
what?
like round or flares?
Pardon?
Do you like round or flares better?
Well, I do both. I'll do whatever whatever is there. But I do like the speed of rounds. And I just recently purchased the new round rulers, and they are really cool. And then I also I have been using the square rulers on other canvases that are square, and
Mhm.
they're really I really like them too. But I mean, I used to do square and rounds without rulers, but boy, you don't have to fuss around with all the straightening bit when you use the rulers. It makes it go a lot quicker.
I I need to try the round ruler. I may have to try that. So,
Well, they're brand new. But if the diamond painting is available in both square and round, then I'm probably
mhm.
going to choose the round now, especially if it has any face in it. Kristen and I were talking about that, and she says with with the face, you want the features a little more rounded with the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and so round drills work really well for that.
Yeah.
And
They,
she's a diehard square drill fan, but she's been doing a lot of rounds lately.
so your grandkids, they're young. Do they do flares or do they do rounds?
My grandchildren, well, they're
Mhm.
doing the mini kits, the mini dazzlers and things. Those are all square, and
Yeah.
they do good on that. The small diamond paintings I purchased for them have been rounds to give them a different look. And then the other day, I had them go through all my small canvases, and everybody picked out more diamond paintings. Their cousin is here visiting from Spokane, and so she is so hooked on diamond painting. I gave all of them upgraded pins, all of them trays, all of them a bunch of release papers, everything. Oh, they each got their own pair of brand new murder tweezers, and they just had so much fun. And I sent them on their way with bags of stuff. So they'll be busy for a while, I think.
That is fantastic. Well, before we go, let me ask you about events. Do you like to do events?
I love doing events. I do events all the time.
You do.
I won a diamond painting pin from Leopard Leatherworks, and it was from the Pride event, and it was rainbow colors. So the rainbow colors were red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, right? On this pin. And I happened to still be working on my Pride canvas, and I laid the pin across it, and it matches perfect. So I love that. I don't care if I win or not. I really love seeing what everybody else is doing. And by joining the event, I see more. I'm super excited for the Witches event, which starts September 1st and goes until October 31st. And I think his early registration in today, and with the early registration, there's going to be a drawing for a gift card
Yep.
from Diamond Art Emporium. And also, if you use a Diamond Art Emporium canvas, which you are not required to do, but if you do, and you're one of the like weekly winners or even the grand prize winner, all of the gift cards that Ren is giving, which is a lot, will be doubled in value. So if it was a $50 gift card, it'll be $100 one. You could
Yep.
tell I'm kind of a cheerleader for Ren and Kristen. So yeah, I'm really excited for that event and for chills and drills and every event. I've done a lot of events and they're just fun.
They are fun. Now, I am going to host 4 events, and I'm going to name those off before we go. And I'm going to ask my mod if you could put in the link for the event. And the first one is Odds and Odds, and that starts August the 1st, and that goes to August 31st. And that is anything the Wizard of Oz or even Wicked inspired. Now, you can do anything from a lion to a rainbow to a line that's a rainbow colored You can do anything like any of the characters. You can do topics. You can do kids. You can do cat, tornadoes. It is so wide what you can do for all the knobs. And that is being hosted by myself, Dixie Diamond in, Nearly Diamonds and Taps, which is Tiffany, and Sparkling Diamonds from Brittany and Robin. And that's the first event I'm hosting. The second event I'm hosting is, if I'm not to stage it as I call them off, in memory of. And that starts September the 1st, and that goes to September the 30th. And myself and Lee and Lenore from Illinois Diamond Paintings are co-hosts, along with Kat from Fortunate and Diamonds is helping us behind the scenes on that. And that focuses on the survivors, the victims, the 9/11, the paramedics, the first responders, even the dirt dogs, anything America inspired, you can do eagles, you can do flags, you can do the military, you can do the Twin Towers, anything, because 9/11 affected the whole world. And the next event I'm hosting is Lit Witch, and Jeanette just told you all about that. So I'll just tell you the co-host that did myself, teaching a diamond, which is Rich, and Alicia Maria Design. And that goes from September the 1st to October the 31st. And the last event that I'm hosting is co-hosting, excuse me, Share the Fair, and it goes from November the 1st to November the 30th. Again, the host of that is Liam North and Eleanor Diamond Painting, Pat from Fortaleza and Diamond, and myself. And that focuses on charity dealers and charity deeds. And that is a very wide range of what you can do, because you can do any canvas that makes you think of a time that you either didn't tear for or that you took care of someone. Anything that makes you feel just loved and happy and safe and comforted. And I know I just threw out a lot of information, but I'm not to put in all of the links for it. Please go check them out. We'd love to have you. And I am going to put all of this info. I am and my knowledge admins are going to put all of this in my Facebook group. And I didn't ask them, but I'm asking them now if I should do that for me at some time. And Jeanette, I hope that you join us in these events, because we'd love to have you. Absolutely.
It
And
sounds
there
like
are
fun.
many sponsors. And the sponsor video for odds and odds will be out tomorrow. And so I'm finishing mine up today. I'm having, I'm gonna that'll be finished up after the live. And so that will go up tomorrow. And I think that Dixie's Listen Chat will be up tonight at 9 o'clock, I think. And so watch that, because the keyword will be in the Listen Chat video. And then the prizes will be given away on their live. So Dixie's Listen Chat does it, I think, tonight. And then we'll do the prizes away on Tuesday. And then it'll be, I think, Brittany and Robin next, and then Tiffany, and then I'll be the last. And Pat said, Jeanette, it's been wonderful meeting you and Ivory. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. I re-
So, just lovely Della, do you have any parting words that you'd like to say?
Um, no, just have fun. And I can't wait to get to know all of you more individually as we continue this fun journey, diamond painting.
Well, I thank you again for being here. I think you've inspired a lot of people, even people who are just, they have pain, but they're not an amputee. You really inspired them, to just live your life the best you can. And you really inspired me. You really had. I see a lot of myself in you. I do.
I think we're very similar. Thank you so much for having me, Tammy. I really appreciate it.
But I
And I
really,
really appreciate everybody being here.
well, I was very excited, and I think they were too, because I had, you have a lot of good people here listening to you. And
Did.
you did. And the audience stayed, and the next day, it didn't, they stayed here. So thank you, everybody, for coming and supporting Jeanette and myself and my channel. And I really do appreciate it. I do. So, on that note, I'm going to leave you like I always say. Remember to love yourself, to love others, let others love you, because we can't get through this world alone. It's just, it's not easy. And, no matter what life brings at you, remember that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm living proof, and I really am. And when I tell you my stories, you'll see it. Jeanette living proof. You know, you just gotta love on. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you on my next live in my next video. So on that note, I'm gonna wish you a farewell, and I'll see you later. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye-bye.